Summary of the Snows of Kilimanjaro by Ernest Hemingway. Harry tells his wife Helen he's sorry for the bad smell coming from the gangrene that's growing up his leg while they are on safari in the African plains. They both look at the birds of prey that have gathered around the camp and are waiting for him to die. They fight about how to deal with his illness, what to do for fun, and whether to ask Molo, their helper, for a drink. Harry, a writer, starts to think about his position and feels bad that he won't have time to write all the things he had planned. Helen wishes they never went on safari, and they fight again over how they got to be in this position. Harry says he's never loved Helen because he's angry. In a series of flashbacks, Harry remembers different events from his past, such as hearing Fridtjof Nansen's disastrous underestimation of the snow in the Bulgarian mountains while on the Orient Express, helping a deserter with bloody feet while living in the house of a woodcutter in Austria, Christmas Day in Austria when the snow was so bright it hurt the soldiers' eyes, and skiing, drinking, and hunting across European mountains. Now we're in the present, and Harry is trying to start another fight with his wife by making fun of her money and the fancy life they had in Paris. It makes him laugh to hurt her in this way, he tells her. He tells her that he loves her because he knows that making her cry makes him money, but he is aware that this is a lie he tells all the time. He quickly calls her names again and then goes to sleep. When Harry wakes up from his nap, Helen has already gone hunting, leaving him to think alone. He thinks about how empty his life has been with her and with the rich. He went on this trip to try to wean himself off of the good life and return to the rougher way of life he used to follow. Helen is a good and strong woman, but he doesn't really love her. He has been attracting wealthy women for money instead of writing, which is the more important thing for him to do. Helen comes back with a ram she killed to make Harry some soup. Harry tries harder to be polite as he thinks more about his wife's past, the things she has lost, and her chase of him. Helen says again that she thinks a plane will soon arrive and take him to the hospital. Harry isn't so sure, so he asks her why she thinks it will happen. As they settle down for the night, a hyena walks across the edges of the firelight. He feels the first pang of fear that death is coming for him, but he hides it. Harry has another memory. This time, it's about the women he has loved and lost, his first love, who broke up with him, his first wife, and the time he spent whoring and fighting in Constantinople. Then he talks about his time on the front lines of World War I, when there were lots of mistakes and hasty withdrawals. In Paris, he later met thinkers who didn't matter at bars and fought more with his wife at the time. He thought it was his job to write about all of it, but he had never done so. Helen brings Harry back to the real world by offering him some soup. It's awful. Anyway, he looks at Helen, he feels like death has come again. He wants to write more and more, but Helen doesn't know how to take notes, so he sees that the chance to write is gone for good. His grandfather's log house and a trout stream they rented in a Black Forest valley are two scenes from a hillside that he remembers in another memory. A lot of thoughts come to his mind about the time he spent in the Paris slums and how hard things were for the poor there. Harry and Helen talk for a short time about drinks, but then Harry falls asleep again. As he gets weaker, the flashbacks come on very quickly. He remembers a ranch where a half-wit boy killed an intruder and Harry reported him to the cops. He also had never written these stories. Harry has a jumbled chat with Helen while he is briefly awake. He keeps telling himself that he would never write about her or people like her. He knows Williamson from the lines of World War I, who had died in horrible ways. Now that he's back in the present, he thinks his own death will be pretty easy. He's bored with how long it's taking, as he is with everything. Then death strikes him one last time. Harry can feel its head moving closer to him on his cot, and he can't talk. A friend named Compton comes in a small plane in the morning to take Harry to the hospital. They get lost on the way and end up going toward the bright white snows of Mount Kilimanjaro. Harry sees he won't make it to the hospital and will instead lie down in peace on the side of the mountain. On the other hand, none of this is true. Helen is roused from her sleep on the plane by the hyena's howls that come from a distance, and she finds Harry lying next to her, with no signs of life.
About the author. Ernest Hemingway was a journalist, novelist, and short story writer who also won the Nobel Prize. Hemingway is most known for his adventurous lifestyle, which brought him across many continents and exposed him to a variety of different cultures and conflicts. During World War I, he was an ambulance driver in Italy. In the 1930s, he was a writer who wrote about the Spanish Civil War. During World War II, he worked as a foreign reporter and saw the Allies land on the beaches on D-Day and the Nazis get kicked out of Paris. In the 1920s, he went to Paris with his first wife, Hadley Richardson. There, he joined a group called The Lost Generation, which included Pablo Picasso and James Joyce, among others. In 1927, he broke up with Richardson and married Pauline Pfeiffer. In 1940, he left Pauline for Martha Gellhorn. During World War II in London, he met his last wife, Mary Welsh. In 1953, Hemingway's well-known book The Old Man and the Sea won the Pulitzer Prize. After escaping several plane crashes in Africa and getting hurt in other ways, Hemingway moved to Ketchum, Idaho, where he shot himself on July 2, 1961.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.